In October of 2014, Moral Mondays was founded in response to the tragic death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Since then, it has taken place every Monday of each quarter, and each session has a different theme. The goals, however, remain the same. Number 1, to advocate for the SU campus as a place and space for national conversation about race, police violence, and the Black Lives Matter movement. Number 2, to focus on the Black presence on campus, both present, past, and future. And number 3, to highlight the ways in which Seattle University directly or indirectly contributes to the problems and solutions of the Black community. Moral Mondays has brought people together, shed light on important issues, and started a crucial campus-wide conversation. And in charge is none other than Seattle University alumni and community organizer Tyrone Brown.
Moral Mondays was a natural extension and connection to the Black Lives Matter movement in relation to our mission. And really, I don't do anything with Moral Mondays that isn't, if it doesn't fit into our mission, then I don't do it. And so that kind of baseline support and recognition of who and what we say we are was then made it easy to be able to advocate, for this. And then too, I think for that very reason, there's a lot of times when we feel like Seattle is disconnected or these things aren't happening here. Or the things that are going on in different parts of the country and the world are much more dramatic. So it's kind of easier to go, oh wow, that's what happened to Trayvon Martin is horrible, and you can wrap your head around it. Versus maybe when that same thing happens here, I just saw it as an opportunity to use Seattle University as a platform to remind ourselves that we're not necessarily disconnected from that, and it's a manifestation of our mission. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the history of Moral Mondays at SU and kind of what it's become.
This year, a lot of healing. We realized like last year, being out there and exposing ourselves wasn't something we were comfortable with doing, and that we needed each other's support rather than being out educating all the time. And we only come together for an hour, so it's like an hour out of 3. It doesn't amount to nearly as much time as we need to be together, and so many things happen, and we don't usually have the time to process it together. So it was been really, really good to have that focus this year, instead of being we gotta have an event, we gotta tell people what this is why it's happening, but being more we need to be supportive for each other. And it's been really good for a lot of our members who are very active in the community, because a lot of times they're too being busy educating and not getting that time to self-care and reflect. I think my favorite thing about Moral Mondays is that taking when you think of Black Lives Matter, people only automatically think one thing, but when you actually realize that there's so many other things that goes into Black Lives Matter, I think it does a really good job of unpacking that and highlighting and giving awareness to this issue and that issue and all of these things. So Black Lives Matter have to do with Black issues and not necessarily just police brutality and murders of Black men. I haven't had as many challenges as being a woman of color on campus as or I haven't blatantly experienced as much racism and discrimination as others have. So I think that kind of halts the way I talk about SU, because I'm very it's such a great school, and I experienced these things, but I also experienced those things in the world as well. So it's kind of a little bit of being numb to it. In a way, you kind of appreciate it, because it's in a weird way, it's not setting you, it's kind of helping you out in the real world, because you're this is how I get treated on campus, this is how I get treated in the real world, instead of being on this campus, everything's perfect and we treat everyone the same and there's equity, but then I step across the street and I'm experiencing all these things, so it kind of just helps you build up your tolerance for it. So I guess in a weird way, it's just kind of you need it.